somebody who is a special advisor to governor on infrastructural development has been arrested for stealing rail track, other infrastructures that they have vandalized. Vandals who are stealing government, the public structure, right? Infrastructure. Those who they arrested the special advisor to governor on infrastructure, a foolish advisor. God damn it, man. It's unbelievable. If they explain Nigeria to a stranger, I swear he go lose his mind. So what are you talking about? Well, this happened.
This was not the first time railway tracks and sleepers are vandalized and suspected vandals arrested in Nassarawa state. But what made the recent arrest to be different are the caliber of personalities involved. Parading the suspect before journalists, the Nassarawa State Police Commissioner Bola Longe said apart from the special advisor to the state governor, Yusuf Mada, other suspects that include a Chinese national, Mata Chai, police sergeant attached to the State Criminal Investigation Department in Lafia, Mali Peter, a personnel of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Ibrahim Amegwa Usman, an illegal practitioner, Nathaniel Oba, who offered 600,000 naira cash to bribe police to secure the release of his client, were also apprehended.
Criminal elements have turned the Nigerian railway tracks that traverse some major cities and villages in Nassarawa State en route to Benue to gold mines, where they vandalize and cut away rail tracks / sleepers. The following suspects were arrested: Samuel Asoloko, a personnel of the Nigerian Legion; Yusuf Abubakar Musa, aka Yusuf Mada, special advisor to the governor of Nassarawa State on infrastructure; Inspector Richard Joseph, attached to State Criminal Investigation Department, is a police officer; Mali Peter, attached to State Criminal Investigation Department, Lafia; Ibrahim Amagawa Usman, a personnel of Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps.
He said the suspect had been in the illegal business for long, but luck ran out of them when the command alerted on their activities and mobilized for their arrest. In an interview, the Nassarawa State Governor's aide, Yusuf Mada, denied being aware of the items sold to him were vandalized, while the Chinese national explained that this was not the first time.
If they explain Nigeria to you and go crazy, I swear they don't explain anything to you. They just lie to you. Sometimes you just like, what? Is that possible? Yeah, it is possible. Crazy things happen in that place. Like crazy things. Yeah. Special advisor to governor on infrastructure, police officer, NSCDC, Chinese contractor. Everybody work hand in hand. If they are not caught, they are all businessmen making some money on the side. And when you talk about the destruction of Nigeria, they probably will have their own voice and tell you that, well, this country, these people are so corrupt. These people are so like some of us are doing on this social media. Everybody is like, okay. And the politicians are the bad ones, like consensus. We have a consensus. The politicians are the bad ones. Me and you, we are just good people in a bad country until you are caught. Until you are caught. Until you. I know, I'm just saying. Because Nigeria is a place where people have normalized abnormalities. And if you do so much expose, they will then come for you. Leave that one. Let us talk about that one. Leave this one. Leave this. Talk about the other one. Cherry picking. It's an unbelievable place. Sincerely. Crazy things happen in that place. So if those who should possibly protect the public are the ones vandalizing and destroying the same space. People that are supposed to protect my own interest, your own interest, they are actually the ones sabotaging it. So who are we going to turn to? Man, leave that one right here. Is this 2004 WikiLeaks cable that was pretty much on how the successive regimes in Nigeria, the government, have been using the media, the conventional media or legacy media, the religious leaders in the north, in the south, to further sort of hoodwink their citizens over time. So I'm going to read it in parts. See you. This one is the WikiLeaks and the public library, okay? So I'm going to read, like I said, I'm going to read it in parts. And you can follow me. Because that is where I'm going to possibly like add my own Jara to it. This is Nigeria, okay? And this was Americans in Nigeria reporting back to Washington all the information they gathered across Nigeria. This may read like an article. It is not an article. This was supposed to be a classified, what have you, but it is no longer classified. It is no longer state secret or anything. It is just so you have an idea of how the Americans have been spying on Nigeria and indeed making up their foreign policy based on all this information that have been provided them. I have not seen any Nigeria ambassador to America, okay, sharing information on. I haven't seen one. Oh, this is what makes it interesting, okay? America does this everywhere because that's how they relate with people. That's how they form their, intrusive policies for different countries. They may sound like simple information, but they are not, okay? So this is how they kind of like invade countries to also realize if this country is for them or if they are not for them. The people, their culture, tradition, their institutions, and all of that stuff. So they send all this report back to Washington every now and then through a classified cable that is not supposed to be in public. But thanks to WikiLeaks that got this out and they forced the hand of the American government to also say, okay, you know what? Well, fine, let them see it. At least this is fair for the public consumption, okay? But to us, it is going to serve as a bit of a material, education material here. So Nigeria is Africa's most, this is one of the ambassadors reporting back to Washington, okay, way back in 2004, right? And Ambassador, what's his name again? Ambassador, I think is Jester or something. Anyway, public diplomacy influence analysis in Nigeria, okay? Nigeria is Africa's most populous nation with approximately 130 million people. The country has access to a complex array of media, both foreign and domestic, electronic and print, as well as growing use of the internet. This was 20 years ago, by the way. Nigerian public figures and opinion leaders utilize and are influenced by all forms of media and communication systems. That said, electronic media are most pervasive in Nigerian society and have the strongest reach to mass audiences. A BBC survey of Nigerians estimated that 70% of people get their news from radio, 20% from television, and 10% from newspapers. Given the high reliance on electronic forms of media, the Nigerian government has been reluctant to give up its control of national and state level radio and television network stations. This is what the internet or social media finally broke, and we have taken that away from them now, okay? Private radio and television stations though limited to certain geographic markets, continue to make inroads against government media outlets. The government has largely ceded the print media to the private sector, which has a surprisingly high number of daily and weekly newspapers competing for a comparatively small readership. Internet access is growing in Nigeria, although it is often used to misinform as well as inform public opinion. Given the high degree of government control in the media, press independence remains a work in progress. Thus, Nigerians rely heavily on foreign media outlets, especially BBC, Voice of America, DW, Germany's Deutsche Welle International Broadcaster Station, and CNN. So no wonder a lot of them are always repeating what CNN have said in America, though. You know, a lot of the elite in Nigeria, they watch CNN for information about world news and secondarily, Nigerian news. Aware of the popularity of foreign media that derives mainly from decades of military rule and lack of confidence in Nigerian government media, Nigerian officials worry about foreign media influence in Nigeria and have voiced their displeasure over BBC, VOA, and CNN reports and tried to limit use of BBC and VOA, Voice of America broadcasts by domestic broadcasters. Recently, the National Broadcasting Commission forbade the direct rebroadcast of foreign news by Nigerian affiliate stations. This measure does not affect Nigerian audiences who receive BBC, VOA, DW, CNN, or other foreign broadcasts via satellite television or shortwave radio. These are the elites, Nigerian elite. They usually listen to Voice of America, CNN, and that is why some of them, even till today, you cannot convince them otherwise about what the world politics is now, because they grew up, rich people, a lot of them, decades of listening to political debates, conversation on CNN, conversation on Voice of America and all these places, right? So if you now kind of tell them that they are so wrong about so many things, they will tell you that, what do you know about American politics? I've been following American politics for 40 years, for 30 years. Echo shit down. American politics kill you there. And the old nonsense that you have been fed with anyway. So yeah, for foreign radio broadcasters, right? So hey, again, also, this is part of the conditioning of the Black people, especially this supposed elites in Nigeria, that makes a lot of them so selfish, so self-centered, Americanized, Westernized, and they have no real value about who they are, where they are. Until today, they do not even have anything called Nigerianness in them, something you can call patriotism. That is why majority of them are, they and their children, some of their children, elite children, who also grew up during that era, right? They have always been looking forward to America, Britain. Here you get. Today, they have no patriotism to that contraption, unfortunately. That's true. But let's continue, right? Just follow me. For foreign radio broadcasters, Nigeria represents two distinct audiences, divided largely by language and geography. Roughly half of Nigeria's population lives in northern Nigeria, speaks Hausa as a first language, or uses Hausa as a second language or lingua franca. This group is predominantly Muslim, while southern Nigeria is largely English-speaking and Christian. While many southern Yorubas are also Muslims, Islamic scholars and Nigerians Muslims themselves make a clear distinction between Yoruba Muslims and those from the north. Thus, BBC and Voice of America have English as well as Hausa language programs to cover northern audiences, while English programming is more popular in the south. The current political differences between the government and main opposition party based in northern Nigeria sharpen the divide, and northern media frequently criticize the southwest-based media for the latter's poor understanding of the north. In Nigeria, however, it is important to distinguish between how people receive news and information and how they ultimately arrive at conclusions regarding that information. There are also differences between how elites process information and effective strategies to influence elite opinion, and how average Nigerians get their information and formulate opinions. US government to Nigerian government influence, US government to Nigerian government influence strategies are only partially successful in Nigeria, as Nigerian public officials are very dependent on the opinions of other African government officials and voices from the non-allied movement. For contentious issues between the US government and Nigeria, we should look to respected intermediaries and messengers who are held in high esteem by Nigerian officials, either distinguished African American leaders or other African officials who enjoy access in Nigeria. Regardless of what they hear from the media, average Nigerians place great stock in the opinion of local, religious, and traditional leaders, and can be influenced by both positively and negatively by such people. In both the North and South, traditional and religious leaders play an increasingly important role as one moves away from urban centers and as literacy levels decline. End introduction. I'm going to say something there. Apart from the fact that the elites in Nigeria over the years have had their opinions shaped by the type of information that they have been they have been able to access, right? This information that have been rolled out to these Nigerians, they are also different in the North, as they are different to what they give them in the South. And that is why a lot of us from the Southern Nigeria, our opinion about the North is so different to what it is actually in the North. And most of this opinion of ours about the North is based on the information that we have been made to have access to, right from our elites and then to other mediums that we've been getting our information. For example, we were told that the northern Nigeria is more populated than the southern part of Nigeria, which is not true. But for years, all information that we have been exposed to has been in that way, to make us believe that because the landmass of the northern Nigeria, which we all believe is one when it is not. There is a part called the middle belt part of Nigeria. It is the biggest part of Nigeria, not the northern Nigeria. The Sharia North, which is the core North, is not even up to the half of the entire southern part of Nigeria, so to say. But media has fed our elites the type of information we have been given access to. They've made us believe so much that, in fact, to the point that they made us believe that whatever the North is not in support of, it will never sail through in Nigeria. But thanks to Bokwari, that finally kind of made everybody realize who they are and be able to identify where they belong. The middle belt part of Nigeria have now distinguished themselves and continue to remind all of us that they are not northern Nigeria. In geography, it is generally believed that the North may be big, but it's always sparsely populated than the South, which is more habitable. All over the world, it's the same. Even in this part of the world, see, I live in Scotland. Scotland is northern part of Britain. We are the north of Britain. It is colder, is believed, very cold in this part than it is in the south. The south is England. And England is more populated than the north. But when you begin to go to the upper north of this country, right, you will see expanse of land in such a way that, but the population is very little because of the weather. But it is in Nigeria that they have been using politics, right, to say the North, Sokoto, Kano, Kaduna, no, not even Kaduna, like northern Kaduna, northern Adamawa, Yobe, Borno, All these places, including northern Niger, not the whole of Niger. These are the north. When you come to the southern Kaduna, southern Adamawa, southern Niger, and you start coming down to Benue, Plateau, Benue, Kogi, and all these areas, right? You begin to come down. This, you will begin to see the increase in population. But they have deceived us so long. America knows that. So America felt like, you know what? We will need to, because these people, somehow, it doesn't matter the medium of information. They are traditional rulers. Whatever their traditional ruler says to them, they tend to trust what they say. Whatever their religious leader tells them. In northern Nigeria, in southern Nigeria, the same template. They were using religion as well as the traditional institutions. So both institutions, right? The traditional institutions and then the religious institution as well, right? In the south, Christians. Now, the teachings of Islam to the southerners who are Muslims is different from the type of teachings they give to them up north who are Muslims. The orientation, the mindset, the whole conditioning, they are two different settings. And it's deliberate. It's just to actually make sure that somehow, they maintain that control. Not just the media way of formulating shaping the mind of the people, which they have succeeded. A lot of the people watching me today, they were watching CNN. Today, some of them don't like CNN anymore. It was a class thing, right? In northern Nigeria, they love BBC Hausa. BBC Hausa. And every other Hausa radio channel, radio stations and all that, because of the type of information they are giving to them. And they indoctrinated them that way. Their elites are pretty much exposed to the DW of Germany, as well as, because they also were rendering things in Hausa. The religion that is now the opium of the poor in Nigeria today. The whole social conditioning, the whole programming, they have come a long way. Now, social media can't break them up. And that's why we are now battling. It's like the new fighting the old. Okay? To unlearn what you have learned back then is like a war. The war of idea or the war of ideology today. I'm going to read more. This is America reporting back, American ambassador, American in Nigeria, reporting back to Washington to find a way. And so when we said that Tifnubu is a CIA agent, as they confirmed, right? It's not only Tifnubu, some of your religious leaders, your pastors, your GOs, your imam, your sheikh, majority of them are also assets of this foreign interest in order to get to you and push their agenda on us over time. Here. So the media environment in Nigeria. This was during Obasanjo's time, by the way, just so you know, right? The media environment in Nigeria is remarkably complex, with sharp north-south differences. In both the north and south, however, radio remains the means by which most Nigerians hear news. Nigerian radio broadcasting was totally government-controlled at the federal and state levels until September 1994. When the National Broadcasting Corporation approved the first private radio station with digitized studios, Western-style programming, and a 24-hour-a-day format, Ray Power 100 FM quickly became the most popular radio station in Lagos and its environs. Between mid-1996 and 1999, 7 new private radio stations were established. These independent radio and television, ITV. This include Minaj Radio in the East, Benin City-based independent radio and television ITV, Lagos-based Redeem 93.7 Cool FM, Redeem 93.7 Cool FM, Star FM, and Ray Power 2 FM, which BBC sponsored. The federal government approved licenses for 16 radio stations in 2002. A new opposition party, ANPP, founded radio station, Freedom Radio, began operations in Kano in early 2004. As with television, independent radio stations lack national coverage and are mostly regionally based. In addition, the government of Nigeria sponsors the Voice of Nigeria, VON, which broadcasts news and feature stories about Nigeria within the country as well as outside Nigeria to neighboring West African nations and South Africa, where many Nigerians live. The government regulates the national television airwaves